injection. Drop the clutch, pedal to the floor. Turn that giddy button to a lion's roar. Dream machine, racing queen. I'll take you wherever you wanna go. Let's blow this town, break the speed of sound. Tonight we own the road. Dream machine, racing queen. You make my heart beat. You make my heart beat. Dream machine, racing queen. You make my heart beat. You make my heart beat.
Tonight was the first AEW Dynamite of 2024, and AEW gave us an excellent episode to kick off the new year, one that was focused very much on stories. As we head into this new year, we had Adam Cole and his new crew, which has a name, the Undisputed Kingdom. That is the new name, the UK crew, I guess you can call them. They were in the house tonight on a show that was really missing a lot of very big names. Kenny Omega, we know, is out because of the diverticulitis, but MJF not on the show tonight. The new AEW World Champion, we had some footage of him from after World's End, but Samoa Joe was not on the show tonight. So no MJF, no Samoa Joe in the building. Chris Jericho was not on the show, which could be for any number of reasons. Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson are in Japan because in just a few hours, as we are here live tonight, New Japan is presenting Wrestle Kingdom. They are both on the card. Danielson's going to be wrestling Kazuchika Okada. Jon Moxley is challenging for the brand new IWGP Global title. Will Ospreay is not officially All Elite yet. He's over there as well. So there were a lot of big names missing from the show tonight, and yet it was very focused. It kept the show moving. There were a lot of different things going on to keep your attention. They opened the show with Adam Cole and his new crew, and him giving the explanation for why they did what they did. Why did Adam Cole turn on his best friend, or so we thought, his best friend? And they did a lot of things in this promo that I felt they had to do. It served a purpose, the mission that they needed to get across with this Adam Cole promo, which was to explain his actions and also let us know what this group, what are they here for? What is the plan here for the Undisputed Kingdom? Because MJF is going to be out for a while. Adam Cole can't wrestle. Adam Cole was on crutches. He's still in a walking boot. He can't do much. So what is their mission statement? And I thought they accomplished that in the opening segment. They made it very clear what the roles are going to be for each member of that faction and why they did what they did. We also had the in-ring debut tonight of Mariah May. Her first match in an AEW ring. If you've seen some of her work in Stardom, you know that she is very good. We had yet to see her in the ring. We got her in the ring tonight. But her match was really a complete afterthought to what came after the match, which was the debut of a brand new talent in the AEW women's division. No, it is not the female talent that most people were probably expecting or hoping for. Former Knockouts champion from Impact Wrestling, Deonna Purrazzo, is All Elite. She's got the graphic, which means it's official. And so even though people may have been expecting someone else, this is a hell of a pickup for AEW. And she also here, on her first night in, made it very clear that she is coming for Toni Storm. She's coming for the AEW Women's World Championship. And that is a great addition to a women's division that, as I will talk about when we get to the segment, when you really look at who they have and the talent they have in this women's division, if Tony Khan can stay focused and really give this division a jolt and give it the attention that it needs, he could have the best women's division in the entire business. Now, people sing the praises of Shawn Michaels in NXT and what he's doing with the women down there, but AEW has the ability to make their women's division the best in the country. And the only person who will decide whether or not that is the case is Tony Khan. It will not be Tony Storm. It will not be Deonna Purrazzo or anybody else, because Tony Khan is the one who pulls the strings. He's the one who makes the matches. Ultimately, it will be up to him. But we got a match on this show tonight. Fucking love this match. This was the match of the night, and I don't even think they announced it until maybe 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We had a match between Konosuke Takeshita, who has barely been able to get television time on his own. I mean, if he's getting TV time, it's with the other members of the Callis family. He's done tag team matches and trios matches. But since he beat Kenny Omega at All Out, he has not exactly been featured very often in singles matches here on Dynamite. We got him in a singles match tonight against Darby Allin. And the minute I saw the graphic announcing this match, I knew this match was going to be great. I just knew it from the moment they announced it. These two went out there, and really it was more so Takeshita beating the crap out of Darby. Darby, I mean, look, what can you say? Every time I see Darby Allin, it terrifies me, because I don't know if this is going to be the night. If this is going to be the night that Darby just doesn't get up because of the punishment and the abuse that he puts himself through. This match was no different tonight. But this match made Takeshita look like a beast. This gave him a huge win that hopefully he'll be able to build on this. Tony Khan will be able to build on this for Takeshita. I mean, I know, fuck me, right? Giving Tony Khan the benefit of the doubt with Takeshita, but I've been very unimpressed with what they've been doing with him of late. And every single week that goes by, that they don't do something with this man, again, that those wins over Kenny Omega become less and less and less valuable. Now is the time. We have turned the calendar. It is now 2024. Kenny Omega is out. We don't know how long he'll be out for. He could be back next week. He could be back in 3 months. We don't know. But I want them to do more with Takeshita. Tonight was a great start. He and Darby, they beat the hell out of each other, and they had a great match. My favorite match of the entire show, my favorite segment on the entire show, involved these two men. And now, we also know Dynamite next week is going to be back where it all began. They're going to be back at Daly's place in Jacksonville. And we're getting a tag team match. Sting is actually going to be wrestling on television next week in what will be his Daly's Place farewell. This will be his last time to step in the ring at Daly's Place. It's going to be Sting and Darby against Takeshita and Hobbs. And the only thing about that match is we already know who's going to win. Because how much time is there between now and his match at Revolution? 2 months? We're 2 months away from Sting's final match. We're going to beat Sting on television less than 2 months before his retirement match? I don't think so. I don't think so. The only question is, how do they pick up the win? It seems clear that Darby will get his win back after his loss tonight. But I'm still looking forward to that match because we get the two of them back in the ring together. Trent Beretta earned the right to be the first man to challenge Eddie Kingston for the brand new Triple Crown. This, that Tony Khan told us previously, was going to be one of the most prestigious championships in all of AEW, one of the most prestigious titles in all of wrestling. Eddie Kingston just went through hell in this Continental Classic. How many weeks? All those matches, fighting from the brink of elimination. All the people he had to beat, Brody King and Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. And he becomes the Triple Crown champion, and he's defending his title against Trent Beretta on Collision this Saturday. It took all of 1 week for this Continental title, which was supposed to be one of the most prestigious things in wrestling, to be relegated to basically the status of the international title. We already have an international title. We don't need another one. But that appears to be what we now have. We had a main event on this show also of Swerve Strickland and Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia did not have a lot of luck. He got 1 win in the entire Continental Classic. But when he got that win, the people were behind him, right? Because he was the underdog. They wanted to see him beat Brody King, and he did. And so even at World's End, I mean, they gave him the win in the big tag match, and the people were behind him. So they're building something with Daniel Garcia here, this underdog story, right? And he does the stupid dance. But the people like him. The people are getting behind him. And they got Matt Menard out there every time he's in the ring doing commentary, rooting on his boy. Well, he was in the main event tonight against Swerve, who is somebody who belongs in main events on this show. And hopefully here, this is the first Dynamite of the year, we have Swerve in the main event. That's something I'd like to see more of. They had a very good main event. People were into it. People were behind Daniel Garcia, even though they like Swerve. Swerve is still playing heel. But we had the return of Hangman Page on this show. First time we've seen him since he got dropped on that car windshield by the Devil's minions. He was looking for the Devil. He wants his hands on Adam Cole. He said, if I can't get him, I'll get Joe. Well, he didn't get either one of them. He came out at the end of the show to confront Hangman or Swerve. Can't confront himself. He confronted Swerve, and they went off the air with a pull-apart brawl between Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. And you look at that and you go, how in the world can they top the death match that they had at Full Gear? It's like almost, what is even the point of putting the two of them back in the ring together after the war that the two of them had at Full Gear? Where Swerve, by the way, went 2 straight up on Hangman. How do you make things different? Do we really need Swerve and Hangman Part 3? I'm sure it would be fantastic, but do we need it? We don't. But remember, Hangman mentioned Joe. You know who else mentioned Samoa Joe tonight in a backstage promo? Swerve Strickland. And now, as I look into the future, we know Revolution is coming up. We know Sting's going to have his retirement match. Sting will probably close out the show. Especially if I'm right and he ends up winning the tag team titles. I can't imagine that Tony Khan puts that anywhere but the main event in Greensboro. But you talk about a double bill that night. We may be looking at Samoa Joe, Hangman Page, and Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Championship. Now you've made this a little bit more interesting because now you've introduced the champion and you've introduced the championship. That ups the ante quite a bit. As opposed to just doing Swerve and Hangman Part 3, you put Joe in there, and now you've got a hell of a co-main event for Revolution. If, in fact, that is the direction they're going, which I think it should be. So there were a lot of different things going on this show tonight, and a lot of big names missing, but they didn't need them. Because I thought this was a very good show. I enjoyed Dynamite, and we're going to go through the entire thing. This is your AEW Dynamite review. It is Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024. I am the Solomonster. Like and subscribe. 400 likes is the goal. If we hit 400, we will do Be the Booker a little bit later on. Super chats are open. There's a bunch of new ones that have been added over the past few days, so go to the description down below if you want to find out what those are. And I thank you. It's been a very busy weekend. I mean, you guys were with me for 4 hours on New Year's Eve, and that was a hell of a stream. That was the day after World's End. Then we had Raw on Monday night with the return of The Rock. We had a lot to say about that. And now we're back here for Dynamite, so thank you for sticking with me. This Dynamite show opened with footage from after World's End in the back at the Nassau Coliseum with the brand new AEW World Champion Samoa Joe, the king of AEW. And Joe cut a scathing promo on MJF. He said he's not a man who makes predictions, but a man who keeps promises. Said after Grand Slam, MJF thought that Joe would be just like every other scumbag, but what he did to Joe was he turned it around on Max. Joe showed up in front of MJF's friends and his family out on Long Island, and he took everything from him. He said MJF might be a scumbag, but Joe is a heartless son of a bitch, and he will always take what is his. I am Samoa Joe. I am the AEW World Champion, and I will take everything from anyone who tries to take this from me. Love it. Love it. This is Samoa Joe at his best. This is Samoa Joe in his comfort zone. When he was the Ring of Honor television champion for 500 some odd days, right? He was at the top of that division. He was beating people left and right, cutting promos on people. I think at one point he had 2 titles, right? I think at one point he had the TNT title briefly and the ROH TV title. And, you know, he was going around, I'm the king of television, and He's walking around like a badass. He was walking around like he owned the place. The only problem is Samoa Joe is much better than the Ring of Honor television title. The Ring of Honor television title means nothing to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is where he should be now. He should be competing for the World Championship, and now he's getting a chance to be the World Champion and get a run for himself, which I'm very happy to see. And I hope that they give him time. I would like to see Joe get a proper run. It doesn't have to be a year, but the idea of him dropping it at Revolution, maybe dropping it to Swerve, I have every expectation that at some point here in 2024, Swerve Strickland is going to be the AEW World Champion. If it doesn't happen at Revolution, I'm okay with that. If they want to hold off on it until Double or Nothing, let's say, I think that's perfectly fine. I think Joe has earned the right to have himself a solid run as the World Champion until they're ready to move that title on to the next person. So I thought this brief segment, this was the only dose of Samoa Joe we got all night. He's going to be on the show next week in the flesh. But this was great. After that, we were off to the races here. We had Adam Cole. We had Wardlow. We had Roderick Strong in the Kingdom. This is after the big reveal at the end of World's End when we found out who the devil was. It was Adam Cole. They went with the most obvious choice. Doesn't make it a bad choice, but it just makes it the most obvious one. And it started with Cole's music, his babyface music, his regular music. But then it cut to a darker, slower theme. With, on the screen, it said Undisputed, and it had crowns. Row, row, Roman Reigns gently down the stream. Row, row, Roman Reigns gently down. Hey, Bobber, thank you for the $22, man. Getting us started here. Row, row, Roman Reigns. Let him roll on out of here. We're not talking about Roman Reigns tonight. Who apparently is going to be on SmackDown on Friday to respond to The Rock. If you saw his response on Twitter, it was just a laughing emoji. We'll see Roman. We'll talk about Roman on Friday. But they have a name. And the name of the faction is Undisputed Kingdom, which I think is fine. I think that's a fine name. If not unoriginal, I think it works for the group. So Cole was on crutches as he got to the ring. And again, I brought that up in the World's End review because some people may have watched the end of that show and thought, oh, the injury was just the work. But again, he never used the crutch as a weapon. He never got physical. He was hobbling around because he's still recovering from double ankle surgery. And it's going to be a while before we see him back in the ring. So they got in the ring. They set up a chair for him. And Cole took a seat in the chair in the middle of the ring. Roddy told the fans to shut up and listen to his best friend, Adam. We didn't get story time with Adam Cole because that would get him cheered. It's not supposed to be a babyface anymore. So it's no longer story time with Adam Cole. Cole asked the fans, you don't have sympathy for me? I guess no sympathy for the devil on this show. He said he finds it ironic that so many people were shocked and appalled by what happened at World's End, which means we're all stupid and we don't understand right from wrong. We think that he's the bad guy. We think that all of them are the bad guys for betraying MJF. He said MJF has run his mouth and made enemies in the locker room. If this makes him the bad guy, then buy him a first-class ticket straight to hell. And Cole said MJF is a narcissist. He said most of the locker room, the fans, even Tony Khan, will thank him for what he did eventually. He said MJF is gone and he's never coming back, which of course means that MJF is coming back. It might be a while, but we are going to get MJF back. He said MJF would have done the same thing to him. He just beat him to the punch, which a lot of us were talking about that aspect of their whole bromance early on in the storyline. It was just the case more than anything else. It was a case of who's going to turn on who first, right? We were all wondering, is it going to be MJF who's going to turn on him? But that would be too obvious. Maybe Cole goes heel. He turns on MJF first. And that's what they did. They dragged it out. They turned it into a whole mystery whodunit storyline, But in the end, it was Adam Cole who went heel and beat him to the punch. He said he never needed MJF. MJF is the one who needed him. And Cole said he sacrificed everything for their friendship. He even broke his ankle. He lost something, not MJF. And the fans wouldn't even be cheering for MJF right now if it wasn't for him. Cole said that he saved MJF's title reign, and he ended it. In the beginning, it was all about the AEW World title, but then it turned into something much more. This is about destroying a man to his core. This is about ripping out a man's heart and bringing him to his knees. And the fans started chanting for MJF. Cole said MJF is dead. I didn't even know he was sick. He said, you know who's very much alive? The Undisputed Kingdom. He said, aside from their disdain for a guy who no longer works in AEW, they also have the desire to win championship gold in common. Cole introduced Taven and Bennett as the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. Cole then turned to Roddy, said that he would go after the AEW International title. And Wardlow is finally with a group of people who respect him, and he will go after the AEW World Championship. And when the time is right, he said when he's all healed up from his ankle injury, Wardlow will do the right thing and he will forfeit the AEW World Championship to him. And Wardlow nodded in approval, but he had this look on his face like, sure, buddy, whatever you say. Already planting the seeds for problems down the road. They have not even been a group for a full week. Already planting the seeds of dissension in this group. And Samoa Joe, says Adam Cole, it was a pleasure doing business with you, but I hope that you're not the champion by the time Wardlow works his way up the ranks for a title shot, because it would sure suck to hurt a friend. And he smirked when he said that. Cole said self-esteem is built on action, and they took action. They were sick and tired of waiting for things to change because AEW needed change, and they gave that to us. Cole said the Undisputed Kingdom starts a new chapter in AEW, and then he held up the devil mask, and he closed by saying, the devil is here to stay, baby. A great promo, I thought. Adam Cole is very good in this role. As much as the people love Cole as a babyface and they love his music and doing the whole boom and everything else when he comes out, it's easy to forget he's a terrific heel. Because Adam Cole, everybody says the same thing about Adam Cole. And when you hear him speak or you see him on social media, he's the nicest guy in the world, right? How could the nicest guy in the world be such a prick on television? But he's very good at it. And since he can't do anything physically because he's not medically cleared, the one thing he's good at is running his mouth and cutting promos. And so for however much longer he's going to be out for, at least we can get him making appearances on most weeks. Maybe not every week, but on most weeks, he can be on television. And he could be, look, you want to get even more heat on him. The old heel trope, put him in a wheelchair, have his buddies wheel him out there every single week, and he can just heel on the crowd. And eventually when MJF comes out, if he's still in a wheelchair, chasing after a guy in a wheelchair, he can wheel him down the ramp. I mean, we've seen that time and time again. So he's a great heel. I like that they addressed why Cole would not care that Samoa Joe beat MJF to win the world title on Saturday. Because that was one of the things that we were talking about in the post-show, which is that why would Adam Cole want Samoa Joe to be the one to take the title from MJF? Wouldn't Adam Cole want to be the one to take the title off MJF himself? Well, the issue is that he's fucking hurt, and so is MJF. So they had to get the belt off of him. And so you can't just wait for Adam Cole to get better and then put him in the ring. So they had to get the belt off MJF. I may not be a huge fan of the way they did it because it was a little confusing. I thought maybe there would be something else that would happen that would lead to the title change. But in any event, I like that he took the time to explain this started all about the AEW World title. And along the way, things changed. It wasn't about the title anymore so much as it was about destroying one man. and making that man's life a living hell. And one way to do that is to take the title from him, because that is the one thing that meant more to him than anything else. That's basically what he was conveying here in this promo. So you don't have to like what they did at World's End and the way they booked that finish of the main event. It's okay to think it sucked or not like it, but I like the fact that he took the time to say, you know what? It was about the title, but at some point it became about something much more than that. Because at least they tried to explain that. They also want us to think very badly that MJF is not coming back. It's very interesting to note that for all those promos over the past year, maybe even year and a half, where MJF would allude to jolly old Saint Nick and the bidding war of 2024, my contract is up on January 1st, right at the beginning of the year. We have not heard, when was the last time we heard about the bidding war of 2024? It has not been broached at all. And I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the fact that MJF became a babyface. That wouldn't be a very babyface thing to do, to tease that you're going to leave the company and take the title with you. But they've completely dropped it, it seems. Even here, there was no mention of the bidding war of 2024. The fact is that MJF, at least I saw Meltzer he made some kind of comment about MJF is debating, should he have surgery or should he rehab his torn labrum? And he's all banged up. I guess his hip is probably bothering him. It's not just the shoulder. But, evidently he's banged up enough that he may need surgery. But if he has surgery, he's going to be out for a lot longer. So apparently he's deciding whether or not he should have surgery or not. So we don't know how long he is going to be out for. It could be some time. But it is very interesting that they seem to have dropped all mentions of this bidding war storyline, at least for the time being. But where I think this is eventually building to is you have to imagine that Cole, we'll see, because MJF, if he has surgery, but the two of them, as banged up and hurt as they are, they get them back in time. I still feel like that's your Wembley match, and not for the title. But 1 year later, they were in the main event at the first Wembley show. 1 year later, they do MJF and Cole, non-title, on the undercard at All In. I would think that's what the direction is here. Riley Parvin activating Bree mode for us here on a Wednesday night. I will allow no Bree mode slander in this chat. Thank you, Riley. The other thing I like about this, they have carved out a clear path, as he did in this promo, for each of the members of the UK crew. So we know that the Kingdom of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, we know, Uffman too, getting in on the party here, huh? You like that. You like that. Thank you, Uffman. Kingdom of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. So they got the tag angle of this whole thing covered, right? They'll be doing the tag team match thing for a while, whatever. I mean, the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles, who cares? But they're the tag team members of this crew. And it seems like they're taking steps to try to heat up the tag team division. Now, even though they're the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, it doesn't mean that we're not going to get them on Dynamite and Collision. We should. I don't care if they have the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles or not, because that don't mean shit to me. But if they're part of the top heel faction in the company, then we should be getting Taven and Bennett wrestling and making appearances on the main shows. So that's their role here in this crew. Roddy is interesting because Cole specifically mentioned the fact that Roderick Strong is going to go after the international title. And that is his goal, is to bring that championship into the group. And then Wardlow has to work his way back up into top contention to get a shot at the AEW World Championship. And Cole telling him that he expects that after Wardlow wins the title, that he will simply forfeit the title and hand it over to Adam Cole. They are already setting up the eventual Wardlow babyface turn. And I like that, right? I mean, it was a subtle thing. If you looked at Wardlow's expression in the background when Cole made that comment, it was a subtle thing, but it was just a little seed planted for way down the road. I mean, we could be looking at a year from now, but for way down the road, they're already telling you we have an idea in mind of how this is going to go down when the time comes to get Wardlow over as a babyface again. And they have a lot of work to do to try to get Wardlow back even close to where he was when he was at his peak of popularity, because he was up here and now he's all the way down here. And him being a part of this crew is the best thing that could have happened to him. I made that comment the other night because on his own, since he came back, he was dying on the vine. Him being in the background the way he was in the ring tonight, standing behind Adam Cole, in a way, it feels like, 2 steps backward for him, because that's what he was doing before when MJF was a heel. It's like now he's back in the old role, but that's the role that got him over. And if anybody had any reason to want to fuck over MJF, it makes sense that he would be part of this crew. I think it's smart. Even if it feels like a retread, it's what got him over in the first place. It worked once before, and Tony Khan is hoping that it will work again. But we were not done yet here in this segment, because Jay White, he came out on stage, had a microphone, and the announcers pointed out, it reminded us, if you remember, that the first victim of the devil and his crew was Jay White, when they showed him being attacked in the backstage area. That was the first appearance of the devil on AEW television. Jay White hasn't forgotten about that. So he said he's a big fan of what Cole did to MJF, but he hasn't forgotten what they did to him, and he is not alone. And the Guns came out. No Juice Robinson. He had back surgery. He's going to be gone for a while. So the Guns came out, and Bullet Club Gold charged to the ring. They started brawling with the United Kingdom. The Undisputed Kingdom. They don't have anything against the UK. The Undisputed Kingdom. I'll get it right. They all start brawling. Cole was watching from ringside. The numbers game was too much for Bullet Club Gold. So who comes out to make the save? And it really wasn't a save, so much as they also were victims of the Devil's crew and wanted their revenge. The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. And they stormed down to the ring, and the UK members ducked out to the floor. Cole was hiding behind Doc Samson at ringside, and the doctor was looking up at the Acclaimed saying, he's not medically cleared. He's got a bad ankle. You can't touch the guy. And that's how they closed out the segment. Now, if Orange Cassidy is on the card on a Wednesday, you know that he is in the opening match of the night, because he's always in the fucking opening match on this show. Tonight was no different. It was Orange Cassidy defending the International Championship like clockwork against Dante Martin. We got a series of pin attempts by Dante until Cassidy regrouped outside. Cassidy baited him to the floor. He hit a dive, and he sent Dante face first against the barricade. Cassidy went to the pockets, and he did a little run around the ringside area, hit a shotgun drop kick. Cassidy wanted a suplex. Dante reversed it into one of his own on the floor, and that took us into the commercial break. Wow. Riley's having a good time tonight, isn't he? Riley is enjoying himself, I could tell. Hey, Riley, thank you for the $25, man. Hey, Riley, thank you for the $50, man. After a long battle for a suplex, Cassidy hit a Stun Dog Millionaire, but Dante quickly answered with a tope to the floor and a springboard crossbody back inside for 2. Dante took a page from the OC playbook, and he started throwing the little chops and the little kicks. Then he ate a thrust kick for his troubles. Cassidy ended up hitting a round the world DDT for 2. And then Cassidy went up, but he got cut off by Dante, who was shoved and backflipped off and got planted with a diving DDT by Orange Cassidy. Dante was able to dodge the orange punch and the beach break. He countered into a pop-up knee lift for a close near fall. And Martin tried multiple times to go up top. Every time he did, Orange Cassidy would do the slow roll away. And Dante said, fuck that. Did a little rope walk, dove across the ring, and he splashed onto him anyway. Only got 2. And finally, Cassidy dodged a shotgun drop kick. He connected on the orange punch. and he retains the International Championship. Fast-paced, as you would expect from a Dante Martin match. Again, it doesn't cease to amaze me he came back as quickly as he did from that horrific injury. Never a bad way to open the show, though. Have a quick, first match like this. Have these two go at it back and forth. International title, get a title match out there. I mean, that's why Tony Khan does it, right? He's a huge Orange Cassidy fan. I know there was a period of time where his segments did really well. I don't know if they still do. I don't even pay attention most of the time anymore. I don't give a shit about that stuff. Same thing with Raw and everything else. The ratings really don't change on these shows. Dynamite is always going to get their 770 to like 910. Raw is going to get its 1.4 to 1.8, at least until football is over. Then maybe they'll creep back up to like 2 million. I know the Rock segment on Monday did 2 million, but the numbers really don't seem to change all that much anymore. It's kind of boring. I am completely over Orange Cassidy as the international champion. I really am. I mean, there are people who will not give the devil his due for his in-ring work. He's had some great matches in AEW, and there are people who just want to shit on him, and they won't even acknowledge that. So he's had great matches before. I don't have anything against him. His run is tired. It's played out. I don't know why they put the belt back on him in the first place. I am ready to see somebody else with that championship. Somebody other than Orange Cassidy. Now, I've been talking about Takeshita. We heard Adam Cole in the opening segment talk about Roddy going after the international title. The sooner they can get that belt off of him and into the United Kingdom, the better. That's where the belt should be. Anywhere but Orange Cassidy. I don't see what purpose it's serving by keeping this title on him. When the match was over, Hook and Danhausen, they came in to check on Cassidy. Darius Martin and Action Andretti, they attended to Dante. He shook hands with Cassidy. Then they were interrupted. They were interrupted by a familiar theme, Private Party's theme, and out came Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn. Very, very nice to see Mark Quinn back. Mark Quinn, first of all, Private Party, a couple of House of Glory boys, right? They came up, they cut their teeth in HOG, very familiar, big fans of theirs. So Mark Quinn has not wrestled a match since November of 2022. He has been out of the ring for over a year, recovering from an injury, and they've had Isaiah Cassidy doing the Brother Zay stuff with the Hardys. Thank God that's over. Thank God that's over, and we have the two of them back together. They have the velvet rope. The security guy let them through, and Cassidy cut a promo, and he talked about the tag team division has been lacking, missing flavor and excitement. They got in the ring, and they said they were putting every team on notice, including FTR, the Young Bucks, and even the Hardys. So again, great to see the two of them back together. And look, I'm not going to pretend that Private Party being back is suddenly going to set the tag team division in this company on fire. But what I really liked hearing in this segment was Cassidy coming out and putting the entire division on notice. And now we have Private Party back. My hope, as we go into this new year, is that AEW is able to find that renewed spark for the tag team division. There was a period of time where AEW had the best tag team division in all of wrestling. I mean, it was ridiculous. Just the sheer number of just teams and talent, and you had the Lucha Bros, and you had the Bucks, and you had, Omega and Hangman representing the Elite, and you had all of these different teams. You had the Dark Order. You had plenty of teams I didn't care about either. But it was a stacked tag team division, and it's not as if they don't have a lot of great teams now, right? You've got the House of Black, and you've got FTR, and you've got Ricky and Big Bill right now are the tag team champions. And I think Sting and Darby, frankly, are going to win them in Revolution. But you've got tons of teams, and it doesn't feel like they have the best tag team division anymore. That excitement is not there. That buzz around the division is not there the way that it used to be. If there is a renewed focus put on this division, which really is what brought AEW to the map. were some fucking great classic tag team matches. That is something I would like to see, because that was a hallmark of the original AEW. For all the people who talk about how AEW's gotten away from what brought them to the dance, and man, back in 2020, 2021 is when it was, at its peak, and I wish we can go back to that and all that kind of stuff. The tag team division was a very big part of that. And so if we can get a renewed spark there, I think that would be fantastic. And I'm going to talk about the women's division as well here in a second. But that gives me hope for hopefully what's to come. Now, Renee was in the back, and she was in black and white with timeless Tony Storm and Luther. She congratulated Tony on retaining her title over Riho at World's End. She told Renee that her perfume was overwhelming. She was also very excited to come here tonight until she realized that this isn't New York, it's New Jersey. I can relate. Sometimes I have to go out of state, and then I realize, oh, I'm in New Jersey. I can't wait to get back to New York. So she has to say, you can hear the disgust in her voice. So she's decided to head to Manhattan to have a seance for Stephen Sondheim. Renee said that's great, but coming up next, Mariah May is going to have her in-ring debut here on Dynamite, and she has been begging for Tony to watch one of her matches. And Tony said, "Darling, I don't watch wrestling." Just the way that she said it was just fantastic. I don't watch wrestling. I used to have a friend who would say it just like that. I don't watch that wrestling crap. She says, besides, how hard could it be? The girl could do with paying her dues, and what better way to do that than to wrestle in New Jersey? So she told Luther to scoop her up. She put her chin up, her tits out. She kicked off one of her shoes, and Luther carried her off. Toni Storm is a national treasure. This woman must be protected at all costs. Hey, Bryce. Thank you, Bryce, for the $9.99, sir. I appreciate it. And I'm going to get to all your super chats a little bit later. So thank you, thank you. We got a video up next from the House of Black. And they accepted FTR's challenge to a match on Collision. Bombs away.
It's ABK. Always be killing it.
Always be killing it with our boy ABK, who drops a $300 super chat bomb here on a Wednesday night. Yes, I beat Boots for this super chat, he says. Poor Boots. Boots was on top. ABK just ambushed him from behind and has taken the crown. The first ABK bomb of the year. ABK, thank you, man. Happy New Year to you as well. He knows how to make an entrance, this guy. I'll say that. I'll give him that. Man. So the House of Black challenged FTR to a match on Collision this coming Saturday. Malachi and Buddy, they had a photo of Dax Harwood and his family that they burned. And they said once FTR loses, they'll have to accept a family that truly loves them. Renee was backstage again. This time she welcomed Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana. Asked about tonight's main event against Daniel Garcia. Nana said that Garcia is a respected competitor, but he's getting into the ring with the boss of bosses. And Swerve called Garcia a Blue League guy, because I didn't really have a chance to mix it up with you during the Continental Classic. He said Garcia is getting this match tonight because Garcia is after the same thing that he was in 2023, that being championship gold. And he said big pressure is not about making diamonds, it's about making pain. Swerve said that he was looking forward to going after MJF, but his body couldn't hold up, so he told Samoa Joe to stay ready. We had Mariah May in her AEW debut match against Queen Aminata. who has made a handful of appearances over the last few years, I think going back to 2021 on AEW Dark and Dark Elevation when that was still a thing. So she's made some appearances before, but never on Dynamite. I have not seen her work before because I was not watching Dark Elevation. Mariah leveled her with a slap and then started dishing out some chops in the ropes. Hit a tilt-a-whirl head scissors. Charging drop kick connected. And then Aminata was trapped in the ropes and Mariah came off the ropes, hit a hard drop kick to the back. It was all Mariah during the picture-in-picture. Aminata avoided a corner head scissors and decked Mariah hard with a slap to the face, and then another, and then another. And each time she slapped this woman in the face, harder and harder, the fans made more and more noise. She had the people oohing and aahing at these slaps to the face. And I could be mistaken here, but a little bit later on, there was somebody who came out. They showed a close-up of Mariah's face, and it, again, maybe it was the angle, but it looked to me like maybe her face was a little swollen. I would not be surprised if she had a swollen cheek after some of the smacks that she took here from Aminata. But, Mariah worked in Stardom. So for her, the way those women work over there in Stardom. I mean, she was in the ring with Julia, for crying out loud. These slaps are nothing. These slaps are nothing compared to what she had to take in the ring with those ladies. So the fans were getting behind Aminata here. She was on offense. She connected on a running knee and some corner elbow strikes. She went for another one. Mariah exploded out of the corner with a sling blade and then hit her sit-out fireman's carry slam she calls Mayday. And she picked up her first win in AEW. Unfortunately, half the match was in picture-in-picture. So that sucked. It wasn't a long enough match, I think, for people to really get a sense of what Mariah can do. I mean, you saw glimpses of it. She was working a little stiff here in this match, which makes sense given that she just came from Japan. But again, not enough of a match to really be able to judge if you've never seen Mariah in the ring before. But I thought we got a solid first outing from her. Aminata was impressive too. The way that she had the crowd getting behind her late in the match, I thought was impressive. Now, Renee got in the ring to interview Mariah and asked her about how it felt to win her first match. She geeked out that she just won her first match on Dynamite, and she hoped that Toni Storm, wherever she is watching, and that she's proud of her. Because it's the first Dynamite of the year, and it is all about Mariah. But her only regret is that they had to do this in New Jersey. And the crowd booed until we got some theme music that I did not recognize. Some people did. And then up on the screen it said, The Virtuosa. And out comes Deonna Purrazzo, New Jersey's own. Deonna Purrazzo, the former Impact Knockouts champion. She came down to the ring. Renee said it was incredible to see her here in AEW. The fans chanted her name, so they knew who she was. It's not like she came out and people were like, whatever. Or, who is this person? Like, they knew who she was. And she reminded us that she is from New Jersey. And if Toni Storm doesn't want to be here, then trust me, we all don't want her here either. She sounded very nervous in her promo here. I mean, look, her first time cutting a promo here on TBS. So she may have been a little bit nervous. But she said, Mariah, I have a message you can pass along to Miss Storm. It doesn't matter where she runs or where she hides. She said that she will find her because she is all elite. And we are in the age of the virtuosa. And the fans chanted for New Jersey. And Mariah said, okay, well, Deonna, I'm not the messenger, so tell her yourself, bitch. And Mariah smacked her in the face, so Deonna smacked her back, and then kicked her right in the face and knocked her out of the ring. As far as the signing is concerned, great pickup here for the women's division. This woman is a multiple-time former Knockouts champion. She was in WWE a number of years ago. WWE didn't care for her. WWE didn't give a shit about her. And WWE got rid of her. And so she had to go out and she had to build up her profile and she had to make a name for herself. And that's exactly what she did. And she went to Impact and she had very good matches. She had great matches. She had great success. Went around on the indies as well. And again, really built up her name. She became a free agent as of January 1st. There was some talk that WWE might be interested, and she may well have had conversations with WWE. But evidently she wanted to go to AEW. And Tony Khan was able to make the deal. And so a great addition to the women's division, even if it wasn't the person that some people may have been hoping for and may have been expecting, because there were rumors for days about Mercedes. And Mercedes talks with WWE breaking down, and she's going to come in likely to AEW. She could debut as early as Dynamite this week. What a way for Tony Khan to kick off the new year. They had The Rock on Raw. How is he going to counter it? Maybe they'll debut Mercedes Moné on Dynamite. That didn't happen, which doesn't mean it won't. It just didn't happen tonight. Or maybe he hasn't made the deal yet. If you believe the reports that talks broke down with her in WWE. As I've mentioned to you before, after the CM Punk stuff in November, take all of these reports with a grain of salt. Because anything can happen. It's Royal Rumble season. She could just as easily show up in the Women's Royal Rumble later this month. Until I see it with my own eyes, I will not fully believe it. So some people may have been disappointed by that, but when I saw her come out, I said, you know what? That's a hell of a pickup for the women's division. And her first night in, she mentions Toni Storm and says, I'm coming. I'm coming for that title. And she may have to go through Mariah May first if she wants to try to get to Toni Storm. But when you look at this women's division, right, we talked before about the tag team division and trying to light a fire in that division. The women's division has been maligned by a lot of people. And it's not a matter of maligning the women themselves. It's a matter of maligning the booking of the women's division and the lack of really interesting stories that they're telling on television. Yes, you could do Abaddon challenging for the TBS title against Julia Hart. Not exactly a compelling story. Or the stuff that they've been doing for the last few months on television with Julia Hart and with Sky Blue. You know, at least there, that's kind of been a longer term story that they've been building. But really, where are all the really interesting stories in the women's division, right? There just hasn't been a lot of focus. There's been a lack of focus on that division. And there's been a lack of television time when it comes to Dynamite. So things have to change going into this new year now as far as the women's division is concerned. When you look at that roster, right? I showed the graphic. She's all elite. They have Deonna Purrazzo. And look at who else they have. You got Deonna Purrazzo. You've got timeless Toni Storm. We just saw Mariah May wrestle her first match on television. That's just match number 1. But people will over time get to see what Mariah May can do in the ring. You've got Chris Statlander. You've got Willow Nightingale. You've got Hikaru Shida. You've got Julia Hart, who's made a lot of improvements. You've got Sky Blue, who's coming along very well. You've got Thunder Rosa, finally. Thunder Rosa was out of action for over a year. Finally, we got Thunder Rosa back now. Serena Deeb is coming back, right? We got that vignette on Saturday talking about her return. So she's going to be back on TV soon. Jamie Hayter will hopefully be back soon. And if Tony Khan had his wits about him, we would have Athena on television very soon as well, and not just toiling away on Honor Club. So now you look at all of that, and then maybe add Mercedes if they do bring Mercedes into the company. That's a hell of a women's division. AEW could take the crown before this year is over for the best women's division in wrestling, at least here in this country, if they want to. It's all about the focus and the booking of the women's division. That's not even all the women, but those are the key names there. There's a lot you can do with those names that I just mentioned. But it's all in how you put those pieces together and how much time you devote to them. That's really what it's going to boil down to. Is Tony Khan going to do that? I hope so. It was time for the TNT Champion State of the Union with Christian Cage and the Patriarchy. And Cage came down to the ring with Kill Switch, Nick Wayne, and Mother Wayne. Tony Schiavone was in the ring. He talked about Cage losing and then regaining his TNT title from Adam Copeland at World's End. Shayna Wayne took the mic and said the fans needed to get on their feet and show respect to the greatest TNT champion that ever lived, their father, the Patriarch, Christian Cage. Cage said it's been 200 days since he won the TNT title on the debut episode of Collision. Schiavone went to correct him, and Christian told him to shut up, or he threatened that Shayna will take him over her knee and discipline him. He might like that, I don't know. Tony's a weird guy. He also made reference to all the New Jersey sweat hogs in the crowd. Little hat tip there to Rick Rude. Cage said that he had a few people to thank for his victory at World's End. Mother Wayne for being the vision, as a mother's work is never done. Next up, the apple of his eye, his boy, Nick Wayne, who selflessly put his body on the line despite Copeland trying to end the career of an 18-year-old prodigy when he powerbombed him onto the flaming table and nearly completely missed. And lastly, Cage said he would like to thank the person who made it all happen, himself. And Killswitch in the background looked annoyed, and Luchasaurus chants rang out in the building, which pissed off Christian. Christian said he's 2-0 against Copeland, and it's back of the line for him. Cage said this was a warning to Copeland and anybody else who wants a shot at the TNT title. This was just the tip of the iceberg of what he is willing to do. And he said he will be TNT champion until he is ready to hand it off to Nick Wayne. He'll be the TNT champion now and forever. The fans are really getting behind Killswitch as far as wanting him to just beat the fuck out of this guy. So it'll be a great moment when he finally snaps. And I don't know what Christian is supposedly whispering in his ear that gets him to be so subservient to him. Maybe we'll find out. But maybe he's threatening to bring back Marco Stunt. I don't know. But whatever it is, eventually he will break free. And it'll be this great big moment, and he'll be a babyface again. Now, Christian in the promo said no more title shots for Copeland, which we know is bullshit. So it's only a question of how do they circumvent that? What is going to happen that will eventually get him to agree to give him a shot at the championship? And I thought, like the other night, it's going to have to be a situation where Copeland finds some backup because he's outnumbered. Some people suggested, well, maybe that's the return of Jack Perry. Right? Jack Perry has history with Christian and the Dinosaur. Could that be how they work him back into this? As a babyface, I think that would be terrible. I mean, he was starting to come into his own as a heel the last time we saw him. He may have, for all we know, he may have a ton of heel heat, given what happened. When and if he comes back. I say if because, he got suspended in August. It's January. He's still not back. He may not even come back. I don't know what's going on with him. So I don't know about that. But I don't even know that it's a matter of that. It could just be as simple as Copeland is going to try to manipulate things and try to get Killswitch to turn on Christian. And when they have their eventual match, that'll be where Killswitch finally says, enough. He doesn't help Christian. Christian loses the title. And that's where things start to fall apart for Christian. So the whole idea of bringing Jack Perry back and having him be, side by side with Copeland, he could turn on Copeland and join the Patriarchy, but how many times can Adam Copeland be beaten down by all these people until he finally finds somebody willing to stick up for him and help him out? I don't know if Jack Perry is going to be involved or not, but the Killswitch turn is coming. When it comes, the people will pop big for it. Renee was backstage with Ruby Soho, Harley Cameron, and Saraya, who said Cameron is dedicated to her role in helping Ruby. Now, if you missed it last week, I should mention this, that on the show last week, there was a backstage segment, and Saraya said she had an early birthday gift for Ruby. Ruby's birthday is on January 9th. Her early birthday gift for her was Harley Cameron. Harley Cameron is the blonde woman that you saw here in this segment, who was part of QT Marshall's QT TV segments they were doing, and she was singing. I don't know. There was some nonsense they did with her where she did a music video and she sang. It was when they were feuding with the Acclaim. So she was part of the QTV crew. That was her. Well, QTV is dead. QT Marshall is gone, and so they have no role for her. So this is what they've come up with here. She is Soraya's birthday gift to Ruby Soho. She's going to be her servant, her helper, her new best friend. But at the end of that segment last week, she pulled out a kitchen knife. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So she's supposed to be nuts. She's supposed to be crazy. I guess that's her new gimmick. She's all whacked out. So Saraya said that Cameron is dedicated to her role in helping Ruby, as shown by Ruby's win on Rampage this past Friday. And Harley said that she is willing to do anything. And Saraya said that she would be helpful. She said she would be helpful, not sane. We'll see where this story goes. I guess you got to find something for her to do. We'll see where it goes. This right here was the best part of the entire show. We had Konosuke Takeshita one-on-one with Darby Allin. Don Callis sat in on commentary for this. Darby sent him to ringside early, tried to hit him with a suicide dive, and as he came soaring through the ropes, Takeshita blasted him with a perfectly timed knee strike that just wrecked this guy. And Darby looked like he was seeing stars. They timed that just perfectly. Fans chanted, "Holy shit," I agree. Darby crawled up the bottom of the ramp. Takeshita grabbed him from behind, and like a child, he started carrying him up the ramp a certain distance, and then he stopped, and he delivered a double chaos theory. So he rolled backwards with him, he rolled back, and in doing so, Darby was taken over for a German suplex and smacked the back of his head on the ramp. Kept rolling, and then finally he let him go. Darby goes flying and just crashes on the fucking ramp, right on the back of his head and neck. That took us into picture-in-picture. I knew at that point it was going to be a tough night at the office for Darby Allin. But then again, every night for Darby is a tough night at the office. One of these days, unfortunately, Darby will not leave the office. That's my fear for him. But hey, if he wants to kill himself out there, who am I to say no? Darby hit a wild suicide dive coming out of the break. I just love how reckless it is. I mean, he's putting all of his trust in the opponent to just absorb the blow and at the same time block him from flying into the front row. He just flies out there like a madman, and he bounced off of him, and both men land on the floor. Back inside, Takeshita hit a great inverted pile driver for a near fall. We got another "This is awesome" chant. Takeshita went for a running knee strike. Darby ducked out to the floor. Takeshita followed, and he went for the running knee, but Allin moved out of the way, and Takeshita went knee first. His knee struck the top of the barricade, and he went tumbling over to the floor on the other side. And he came up clutching his knee. He was right by Don Callis. Callis, put the headset down. He's checking on Takeshita. So Takeshita gets to his feet. Darby is on the top rope, and he comes flying off with a coffin splash. Connects with Takeshita. They both go crashing to the ground. Takeshita then gets back in the ring before the referee's count of 9. Just barely beats the count. Immediately, as he gets back in the ring, he gets taken down by a code red by Darby for a near fall. Allin went for a coffin drop. Takeshita, though, put his knees up, and I like that he sold the knee. The bad knee that he hurt on the top of the barricade. He put his knees up, and as soon as Darby hit his knees, he started clutching the knee and selling it. Takeshita grabbed Darby from behind. He suplexed him twice. He was about to end the match. He went for a vertical suplex. Darby, though, caught him with an inside cradle for 2. Darby followed with a crucifix. Got another 2. And Takeshita blasted him with a lariat after that. Callis was signaling to Takeshita for the kill. Let's go. Let's end this. And Takeshita hit Darby with a haluva kick in the corner. Placed him on the top rope in a seated position. He was facing the crowd. He climbed up behind him, and Takeshita took this fucker over with a German suplex. He German suplexed him off the top rope, and it felt for a moment there like time just sort of stood still as Darby went soaring through the air. I mean, he went a long ways down before he crashed and burned on that mat. Darby was slow in getting up to his knees. He motioned he wanted more. And so Takeshita blasted him with a running knee strike, and he pinned him. This is the best thing on the entire show, the best match, certainly, on the entire show. And again, they didn't even bother to announce this until late in the afternoon. I just happened to come across I had already put the preview together for the show. Right before I put the page up here on YouTube. Go check the lineup. I don't even have this match listed, because it wasn't even supposed to happen. They threw it out there late in the day. I'm glad they did. I enjoyed the hell out of this, man. This you could put these two in the ring together every week. It might not be good for Darby's health, but I'll be watching, because these two were fucking fantastic together. And what I also love about it, it was a statement win for Takeshita. Darby is like, he's the perfect opponent for someone like him, because he can throw. The only thing I'm surprised we did not get, and I think did we get it? We might have gotten it on Saturday, but like an Avalanche Blue Thunder Bomb. I think we did get it at the pay-per-view. That's the only thing that was missing from this match. Darby will fly around and bump around like a madman, and he'll make the other guy look like $1 million. And Takeshita is fantastic because he's great at everything he does. Everything he does looks great. It's smooth. He can do power moves, but he could take a guy like Darby and just throw him around like he's nothing. It makes him look like a beast. It makes him look like a killer. That's what Takeshita has been missing for the last 4 months. 2 wins over Kenny Omega, and again, they've done nothing with him in these 4 months. Now Kenny is hurt, and I was a little bit worried that they're just going to wait for Kenny to get better. I'm glad they put this out there tonight, and my hope for Tony Khan is that we get more of this. Let's get more of Takeshita in singles matches here on Dynamite than we have had over the past 4 months, which has been virtually none. Let's have more of this. This is more of what I want to see on this show. This is a guy who should be featured more often. You know, again, I've pitched the idea before about him going after the international title, but can't do that if the story is that Roddy is going to go after the championship and bring that title into the Undisputed Kingdom. But surely he can find something for this man to be doing, at least until Omega comes back, and then they can pick up with whatever story it is that they wanted to do with the two of them. Now, after the match, in the back, Renee caught up with the Callis family. And Callis said that they would be back to where it all started next week at Daly's Place in Jacksonville. He pointed out that Sting is undefeated in AEW. Sting is 25-0. He's got his own little Undertaker streak going on here in AEW. He couldn't get his match with the Undertaker, so he's going to copy his streak. He's 25-0. And he says he is challenging Sting and Darby to face the team of Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs next week in Daly's Place. And they will be responsible for making Sting 25-1. Which is bullshit, because ain't no way Sting is taking a loss 2 months out from his retirement match when he's undefeated. If, and it's a big if Sting was going to lose, and I think that Tony Khan wants him to retire undefeated. I maintain that Sting is going to wrestle for the tag team titles at Revolution, and if he does, he's going to win them. Him and Darby. I don't think Tony Khan wants to beat him. I think Tony Khan has this great reverence for Sting. The one thing I will say, and look, could he have reined in Sting a little bit on some of the stunts that he did? Sure, absolutely. But the one thing you can't say is that Tony Khan has not taken care of Sting booking-wise since he brought him into AEW. It's been all tag team matches. Sting may have gone to him and said, look, I can't do singles. I don't know, but he has protected this man as far as the booking is concerned. He has made him out to be, look, he's treated him like the legend that he is. There was a period of time in WWE where they would have a legend, and what they would use those legends for was to just emasculate them on television. And in Vince McMahon's mind, he was taking these younger heels and trying to use the old guys. He was trying to use the legends to try to get them over and get heat on them. But how many times did we see legends go out there and get made fun of and mocked on television? It was a different way of thinking when it came to how to book people like that. Tony Khan with Sting has treated him with respect through and through. And if I were a betting man, I would say that he's probably going to want him to go out 28-0 or 30-0. Maybe he'll be 30-0 when he wraps up a Revolution. I don't know. But I would be stunned if he and Darby took a loss on TV next week. On TV, no less. On TV, not even on pay-per-view. He's going to get beat? I don't think so. We had Eddie Kingston, who was out to the ring with his 3 titles. Got 3 belts now. I'm sure that's really fun for Eddie when he has to go through the airport. He took a seat at ringside for the next match, which was a 4-way to crown the first challenger for the Continental Championship between El Hijo del Vikingo, Brian Cage, Brian Keith, and Trent Beretta. Kingston told Tony Khan that he wanted a title defense on Collision, which is why we got this match tonight. He goes, I want to defend my title on Collision. Get me a challenger. And so we ended up with this match. Now, I know that Vikingo is the AAA Mega Champion. Okay, he is a champion in AAA. But we just went through, how many weeks was the Continental Classic? Was it 6 weeks? Maybe not even. It was probably 4 weeks. 4 or 5 weeks of the Continental Classic. This grueling tournament on television. These great matches that we got. It was a tournament that was primarily, not totally, but primarily it was filled with a lot of big names in that tournament. We want to throw Kingston in there, I don't know, but John Moxley was in there, Bryan Danielson. We had up and down great matches in that tournament. Swerve was in there. Jay White was in there. Great stuff, right? And so now Eddie Kingston is the champion after everything that he went through and everybody he had to beat right up until the end. Bryan Danielson and then John Moxley. And finally, he's the Triple Crown champion. And I'm reminded of Tony Khan when he first talked about this, which might have been the Full Gear scrum. He was talking about this new Continental title, and this is going to be one of the most prestigious championships in all of AEW. It's going to be one of the most prestigious titles in all of wrestling. This is going to be a big deal. And now Eddie Kingston is going to defend his title against Vikingo, Brian Keith, Brian Cage, or Trent Beretta. Let's put Vikingo on the side. Brian Cage, Brian Keith, or Trent Beretta. And this is supposed to be taken as one of the most prestigious championships in all of wrestling? Are you kidding me? So they want him to defend the title on TV. So what do? This is what he came up with because he wants Eddie Kingston to defend the belt. This is what he comes up with. And that's fine. Trent Beretta, he's a great wrestler. No one's saying he can't work. They have a roster full of great wrestlers. That does not make them all stars. And I'm sorry, you're trying to build this championship up as a big deal. And on day one, all you're doing is letting people know, oh, okay, I see. It's only slotted at this level. That was my takeaway from this. I'm like, this is what we're doing here? Vikingo cleared Cage from the ring with a kick. Hit him with a suicide dive right in front of the announce desk. And Kingston made a comment. He goes, there goes your Coke Zero. And Taz said, nope, not this time. So the match, unlike Taz's drink, spilled outside. Beretta pointed over at Danhausen, who was in the front row behind the barricade. Late in the match, Cage powerbombed Beretta, followed up with a sit-out powerbomb for a near fall. Danhausen hopped the barricade. He should have been tackled right then and there. He hopped the barricade. He gets in the ring. And Cage releases Trent. And Danhausen puts a curse on Brian Cage. Cage gets kicked by 2 of the other men in the match. And he ends up outside the ring at ringside. Vikingo moonsaults onto Cage on the floor. Brian Keith hits Trent with a Saito suplex and a battering ram headbutt. Trent, though, fights right back, hits a Tiger Driver, and he scores the pin. And the crowd pretty much died when he won the match. And I'll say it again. Trent Beretta, good wrestler. Not somebody that the fans are going to look to as this great, credible challenger for the Triple Crown. 3 championships. You have 2 titles, and you have a brand new one. You basically have merged them into one. And it's going to be Trent Beretta against Eddie Kingston on TV. That's fine. For a TV match, that's fine. I would think that Kingston and Trent will go out there and they'll probably have a pretty good match on Collision. And if that's what you want the Triple Crown to be, then fine. I'm just wondering what the fucking point of the whole thing was. Now Tony Khan is talking about adding more belts. I believe he was talking about adding a set of women's tag team titles. Now, as robust as that women's roster is starting to shape up and be, I still don't think we're at the point where we need women's tag team titles on this show. But I also don't believe we need more titles on this show. But he just keeps adding titles. Everybody will have a belt soon. But again, I'm using his own words. He specifically used the word prestigious. I'm just wondering, what exactly is it that is going to make the Triple Crown prestigious and different than all of the other titles that they currently have? That's what I'd like to know. And I said the onus is on Tony Khan. By the time we get to the next Continental Classic, we're going to look back and we're going to see what has he done to make the Triple Crown truly something special. That when it gets defended, you say, oh, I got to see this. Or it just feels like a championship that is sought after and valued in some way, right? Maybe he'll go around the horn. He'll go to Japan and he'll go to different places and start defending it, and that's great. But I go back to my original point. We already had something like that. It's called the International title. Do you remember when they first introduced that belt? It was the All-Atlantic title. They were doing something when Pac had the belt, where he was going around to different independent promotions and promotions overseas and defending it, and they recorded the matches and they would air them, or air highlights of them anyway on TV, or they would put them on their YouTube channel. That was unique because it truly felt like a global title, like an international title. Or like back then it was still the All-Atlantic title, but it felt unique. It felt like, okay, I get it. I know what this belt is all about. Then it just became another belt on the show. They completely abandoned that, and it just became another belt on the show. So what exactly is this Continental title going to be? We're going to find out. But I don't know. So far, it's only been 1 week. First challenger, Trent Beretta. Okay. Doesn't do much for me. We'll see. Backstage, Renee was about to interview Matt Menard when an angry Hangman Adam Page showed up in his leather jacket, and he vented about Samoa Joe having a bunch of goons put him through a car windshield. He said if he couldn't find Joe, he would find Adam Cole and beat his ass. And he dared somebody to give him a reason, and then he stormed off. And that led into our main event of the evening, which was Swerve Strickland one-on-one against Daniel Garcia. I'm all for Swerve in the main event. I'd like to see more of that. I think that's a fine way to kick off 2024. We had a knee that sent Swerve to the floor. Garcia sent him crashing into the barricade. And then we got the predictable dance-off. You knew it was coming as soon as they announced this match. You knew that we were going to get a dance-off at some point between Prince Nana and Daniel Garcia. And they came face-to-face outside the ring before they even touched. I guess they didn't even have to touch. Before they even started dancing. Before we had a single dance move. The people in the crowd were chanting, holy shit. It's like the fucking Wyatts and the Shield at the Elimination Chamber before they even touched. You had the entire building chanting, holy shit. And this is awesome. So then they started a dance battle. Strickland tried to put a stop to it. He took Garcia to the apron. Swerve then took the referee to distract him. And Nana distracted Garcia long enough for Swerve to hit a pump kick and a Death Valley driver on the edge of the ring. That took us into the final commercial. Swerve mocked the Garcia dance. It only woke up Garcia, though. He started hulking up with punches. We got a running corner knee strike and a shotgun drop kick. That led to a Saito suplex for 2. That's right, the return of main event Garcia. I forgot about all the main events that he's had. Oh, there it is. I'm trying to do the swerve dance there with Nana. He's showing me. I just got to practice some more. You know, if I practice some more, I mean, I have no rhythm, though. That's the thing. At least not as far as dancing. Maybe in other ways. But anyway, so a Saito suplex for 2. Strickland responded with a leg trap backbreaker and then hit a spinning sit-out reverse DDT for a near fall. Swerve got in the face of Matt Menard at the announce desk. Didn't go too well for Matt Menard on Saturday when Brody King got up in his face. Remember he called him a bitch? You ain't gonna do shit. And Matt Menard was like, you're right. And he sat back down. He didn't do shit. So that didn't go too well for him. Garcia, though, swarmed Strickland. He cleared off the table, and he was trying for a dragon tamer, a sharpshooter, on top of the announce desk. And he goes to turn Swerve over, and he slips. He slips off the edge of the desk, and both men fall to the floor. An unfortunate botch, but they picked themselves up and they moved on. What are you going to do? Maybe the drink did spill. Maybe they slipped on Taz's drink. I don't know. But we move on. They go back to the ring. Garcia hit a superplex. Swerve held on, though, and he hit a suplex. We got a double down here. Garcia escaped a waistlock with a violent knee to the face. Swerve answered that with a rolling flatliner and a house call kick for a close 2 count. Swerve connected on the Swerve stomp, and Garcia kicked out, which was huge for him. I was not expecting him, of all people, to kick out of the Swerve stomp, but he did, and that got a big reaction from the crowd. Strickland was stunned, and Garcia got a desperation roll-up for 2. Strickland, though, got up. He hit another house call, and finally the JML driver puts away Daniel Garcia. Swerve Strickland picks up the win. This is coming off of his win over Dustin Rhodes on Saturday, who was a substitute for Keith Lee. After the match was over, Swerve went to go shake Garcia's hand, and Prince Nana snuck up from behind Garcia, and he hit him with a low blow. Matt Menard hit the ring to try to stick up for his boy. He got the same fate. Prince Nana was about to say that Swerve was going to be the next AEW World Champion when they were interrupted by Hangman Page's music. And the Millennial Cowboy makes his way down to the ring. We got a face-off with him and Swerve. A brawl ensued. We had the ringing of the bell, the manic ringing of the bell. Security is in to try to break these 2 men up. And they're not having a lot of luck doing it. And so chaos is what we are left with here as the show goes off the air. I thought it was a very good main event. And again, they gave Garcia the kick out on the Swerve stomp, which kind of surprised me. But you can sense that the fans want to get behind this guy. Even though he only won 1 match in the entire tournament that they just wrapped up, they're telling this underdog story with him. They have Matt Menard out there rooting him on every single time he's out there. It looked like he was trying to impress Bryan Danielson. Maybe he'll end up in the Blackpool Combat Club soon enough, right? He got the win for his team in the match in the 8-man tag on Saturday. So the crowd is there. You know, they want to get behind him. They want to cheer him. Swerve, though, feels like a guy who's clearly on the rise. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of when. Now it looks like all of a sudden we're back to him and Hangman. Now, I love their match at Wrestle Dream. The Texas Death Match at Full Gear was the most violent match I've ever seen. And in its own way, it was great. I mean, I could see where it would be a turnoff for some people, but how do you top that? If you're going to run it back for a 3rd time, Swerve is up 2-0 on Hangman, first of all. It's not like that we need a rubber match between them. How are you even going to top what they did in November? But then I am reminded of the fact that when Hangman showed up on the show, the first person he was asking for was Samoa Joe. He was going to kick Samoa Joe's ass. And if I can't kick his ass, I'm going to kick Adam Cole's ass. He wants a piece of Samoa Joe. And in my World's End review, we were talking about potential first challengers for Joe, I said, well, you can go with Hangman. Doesn't really make a lot of sense, though, because he just got beat twice by Swerve. Swerve would have a little something to say about that. Right? Wouldn't he? What makes more sense, though, is if we end up in a triple threat scenario. And you have a co-main event at Revolution in March of Samoa Joe defending the AEW World title against Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. Now you're not just going back to the same match for a third time, which you really don't need to be doing. You're injecting Joe into it in the championship, which is something Swerve keeps reminding us of. I'm going to be a champion. I'm going to be the first black champion. I'm going to win the title. Hey, Samoa Joe, don't forget, I'm looking at you, Samoa Joe, right? They put that in there in his promo for a reason. I think we're getting a three-way at Revolution. And it may not main event the show. It may be Sting going on last. But whether it closes the show or not, that's going to be one of your main events, I believe, at Revolution on March 3rd. If not, it should be. Because think about it. If you're going to do Hangman and Swerve, who are you going to put Samoa Joe in the ring with? Who else would Samoa Joe's first challenger be, if not one of those two men? There really is no obvious choice for that spot. I think a three-way is what makes the most sense. And I wouldn't even necessarily do a title change. Again, I'm okay if they want to give Joe some time with the belt. It would actually be kind of a shame to take the belt off him that quickly. Swerve is going to get there. It doesn't have to happen at Revolution. You know, before I was like, it should be Revolution. And that was before Joe won the belt. I'm okay if they want to push it off until Double or Nothing. By then, I think you're getting into territory where it's like, okay, are we going to pull the trigger or not? Because then Will Ospreay's coming in to probably a Wembley main event. You could do Swerve and Ospreay in the main event at Wembley. I mean, there's different ways you could go with it. But I think that's the direction that we're going in, and I think that'd be a hell of a match for Revolution. You do a three-way with those guys? I think that would be an excellent title match. I really enjoyed this episode tonight. Again, there was a lot going on. They have a lot of different stories going on. We got the explanation from Adam Cole about the Undisputed Kingdom stuff, and talking about MJF, and talking about what Roddy and what Wardlow are going to be doing. We got the Mariah May debut, the arrival of Deonna Purrazzo. We had the Takeshita match with Darby, which if you didn't see this show, go check that match out. It's only about 11 or 12 minutes. It's worth going out of your way to watch. That is now going to lead to a rare Sting match on television next week. And then we got what we got here in the main event. So I thought this was actually a great episode of Dynamite. I enjoyed this show tonight more than most of the recent episodes they've done. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll. The X poll. How would you grade Dynamite for January 3rd? 74% of you have given this show a thumbs up. 26% of you say thumbs down. I don't see how this could be a thumbs down show. But to each their own, I guess. At Solomonster, let me know what you thought. You know the drill. Let's take a look at your super chats. Get them on in. By the way, it is now 12 midnight. I believe we are less than 2 hours away from Wrestle Kingdom. I'm not staying up for Wrestle Kingdom. If you think that I'm going to watch 2 hours of Dynamite and then stream for another 2.5 hours and then stay up for 5 hours to watch Wrestle Kingdom, yeah, that's not going to happen. I will watch it at some point tomorrow, but I know some of you are probably going to do the live viewing. God bless you. I can't bring myself to do it. Groovy Goose, Hogan never signed an NDA for Brawlout. That's true. By the way, I have some breaking news on that. I never signed an NDA either. Maybe one day I'll tell my story. Lady Fire Panda. Her sources have revealed a terrible truth about me. That I do drink coffee. I only say I don't to get a reaction from the coffee drinkers. Coffee is disgusting. I do not like coffee. I do not like the taste of it. and I don't apologize for it. So there you go. That's the truth. That's the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Nick Grosso, it's great to see Deonna Purrazzo in AEW. Just hope Tony Khan uses her right and doesn't just feed her to Tony and then relegate her to Rampage. Well, remember, we had Taya Valkyrie debuted, and where's she been? Where has Taya Valkyrie been? Hopefully that does not happen with Deonna Purrazzo. The real CSO2, if Mercedes is coming to AEW, when do you think she will debut? Don't that have a show coming up in Boston, or am I trippy? Well, somebody look that up. Is there a Dynamite or a Collision coming up? Well, it would be on Dynamite. Is there a Dynamite coming up in Boston? If so, when? Because if there is a Boston show coming up this month, that would probably be the place. Corey Barnett, good to catch you live for once. It makes it hard living in Australia. I've been listening since 2009. Well, Corey, I'm glad that you can stay up. Are you going to be going to Optus Stadium? Will you be in Perth for the Elimination Chamber? Hey, Giorgio. I'm glad you're enjoying the chat, man. I'm glad to have you here. Christopher Smith, United Kingdom is a cool name, and heel Adam Cole is so good. Also interested in getting Jay White against Adam Cole when Cole is healthy. Absolutely. Joey Jojo Jr., great show tonight. Where do we think Kyle O'Reilly fits into the Undisputed Kingdom story? An old friend and foe of Adam Cole. Would work either way. Yeah, I mean, it would work either way. I would think he would end up with them. Is that one person too many? Yeah, it probably is. I don't think you want to really overload it with too many people. I mean, I guess the question really is, would they need him? Like, does the group need Kyle O'Reilly? If you've got Cole and you've got Wardlow, Roddy, Taven, and Bennett, where would Kyle fit into that? I don't know that he would. Arabian Night, narrative in AEW Women's Division could be changing. Sasha possibly signing now Deonna, plus Rose's return followed by Britt and Hayter. Triple H should sign Camille. WWE is probably going to get Camille. They're very high on her. There was a whole report on her today. She is a free agent. They're very high on signing her. I think that they are likely going to be the ones to land her. And she would be a good pickup for them. Bobbert, thank you for the $22. Roman Reigns. Riley Parvin. Loves himself some Brie mode. Riley, thank you. Jaden Burks, Hangman Swerve main event of All In for the AEW title. Could be. Could be. That's why I thought they were going to get away from these two. And Swerve eventually would win the championship. So you could even then wait, if he makes it that far, for Full Gear. 1 year after the Texas Death Match, you could headline Full Gear for the title with Swerve defending against Hangman. Uffman Entertainment just left the Prudential Center. Really fun Dynamite. And a good Rampage. Hope Dynamite came out well on TV. Jersey was loud and proud. We'll listen to the recap for the drive home. Thank you, Uffman. And yeah, the crowd was very vocal tonight. Justin, holy shit chance for making my Roman Reigns gently down the stream a super chat. Also, have you looked up the poster? It is pretty funny. The poster? What are you talking about? No, I haven't. Riley with a couple of more Brie modes here. I didn't know you were such a total Bellas fan. Nick Grosso, with Adam Cole already planting seeds for Wardlow's exit from the group, does this lead to Kyle O'Reilly eventually replacing Wardlow in the UK? And so, to tie it back to what we were just talking about, if that were to happen, if the timing was to align where Kyle comes back around the time that Wardlow would be exiting the group, then sure, he could take his place. But this Wardlow thing, I mean, that's got to be a long-term thing. You know, I mean, I think Kyle is already training to come back. So if he's going to be back in the next, even if it was another 3 or 4 months before Kyle was able to come back, Wardlow is still going to be a part of the group. Now, what you could do is, if you know that Wardlow is going to exit, let's say a few months later, you can initially bring Kyle back as part of the group with the idea that Wardlow is going to be going away soon, and then he'll effectively take his place. So, I mean, there are ways to make it work. I just think if you're just going to have Kyle tacked on and that's just going to be the full group, I just don't know that he's needed. But then what else does he do? I mean, is it just going to be Kyle O'Reilly by himself as a babyface? Maybe it would be a better spot for him to be in that group. I just feel like that's a lot of people. Bryce with the $9.99. I was a sold out. No wait, I was a sold. I don't know what you're trying to write, brother. I was not sold, I'm guessing. I was not sold on May as soon as... I don't know what you're trying to say, Bryce. I think he likes Mariah May, though. He was not sold on Mariah May until she hit that perfect dropkick. Besides that, I feel Tony Khan dropped the ball with Andrade. Could have paired him with Rush and pushed them together as a tag team. He could have. I don't know. Maybe Andrade didn't want to do the tag team thing. Andrade might want to do singles. I don't know where his head is at on what he wanted to do. Then you look at somebody like a Malachi Black who didn't wrestle a singles match all year. And anytime somebody comments about it and he responds, it's not like he's saying, oh, it's, you know, don't blame Tony, don't blame the company. It's, you know, he just says, I don't know. I'm not the one who makes those decisions. It's just but he makes it clear it's not an injury thing. So it's very weird. How do you go an entire year and not have Malachi Black in a single one-on-one match? How do you do that? We get Buddy Matthews in singles matches. We get Brody King in the Continental Classic. We didn't even get Malachi in the Continental Classic. That's why most people thought, well, maybe there's an injury reason for it. Maybe he's protecting him. But if he himself is saying that it's not an injury-related issue, then what the fuck is it? I don't get it. This guy was brought in. Remember, he beat Cody Rhodes. There was so much fanfare around him when he first came in. Why is Tony so afraid to put him in the ring one-on-one? There's got to be some sort of a medical explanation for it. It doesn't make sense otherwise. It just doesn't make sense. Hey, ABK. Man. ABK is dropping bombs left and right here on these streams.
They like me. They really like me.
ABK, I like you too, brother. Thank you very much for the $300 super chat bomb. Hoffenheim. Toni Storm can't be a national treasure if she is from Australia. Thank you for pointing out my technically wrong response. Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim is going to tell the teacher that I forgot to give you guys homework. Hoffenheim, thank you. I appreciate the $5. Cletus. Should Tony Khan make NDAs and non-disparagement mandatory? No. I don't think anybody should make NDAs mandatory. Rizzo, I don't think Killswitch will be a big star until they take off that stupid mask. I gave it a pass in Lucha Underground because that was a TV show. That's right. He was Vibora on Lucha Underground. And he had the mask on there too. I don't know. Maybe he's just really ugly and he feels like he has to wear a mask. I don't know. Rojo Bear 24. Jack Perry signed his contract 5 years ago in January of 2019. Do you think it's possible that Tony Khan let it expire and does not re-sign him? Well, we don't know if he signed an extension during that period of time. But if he didn't, sure, it's possible. Anything's possible. Hasn't been back for 5 months. Feels like he's on the bubble, and I don't know that he necessarily is coming back. I don't know. Joey Jojo Jr. left the stream for a bit to go get a 24-hour BP monitor put on. Not a smart idea, since I will be watching Wrestle Kingdom, and all the false finishes will get my blood pressure up. Well, enjoy the show. I'm looking forward to Okada and Danielson. Rojo Bear, thank you as well for the $5 super chat. It's like it came in twice. BW says, your thoughts on the horror take, movie and game wise, of the now public domain Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse, and do you think it will last? I saw there was a trailer for a horror movie with Steamboat Willie, but if the actual movie is on like YouTube or something, I did not see it. It reminded me of Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, which I also did not see. Barry says, what if The Rock really will be a guest referee for Roman's match at WrestleMania, but he turns heel and helps Roman win? Oh, God. Why did you put that out there? Why did you speak those words? Why did you make me speak those words? I have no issue with The Rock being an enforcer for Roman and Cody at WrestleMania to keep Solo and Jimmy from getting involved. I have no issue with that. Anything else is unacceptable. Ross Lawman seen a tweet about you moaning, and all I could do was laugh at the hypocrisy of them moaning about you moaning. Oh, they do it all the time. They hate me so much they watch all my content. It's the funniest thing. They watch the content, they leave comments, they engage, spike the numbers. It's great. I love it. I love it. And it's usually accounts that have, you know, like some kind of a fucking anime character or some wrestler's fucking headshot as their profile picture. I find it amusing. M. Mills, thank you for the $8. Happy New Year to you. Arabian Night, people say AEW's women's divisions lacks story, but look at Raw and Rhea. No compelling story since WrestleMania, and it is rarely critiqued. AEW seems to get more flack with women's stories. Is that accurate? Not from me. Maybe from other people. I've talked about the SmackDown women's division before. I've talked about Rhea not having any challengers because no one has been built up to be credible enough to challenge her. You've heard me talk about that on these streams. I can't speak for other people. I can only speak for myself. But that certainly doesn't apply to me. Retro KOH, if we get enough channel subs, will you enjoy a coffee on stream? Try it, you'll love it. I have tried it before. I mean, you make it sound like I haven't had coffee in my life. I tried it, I didn't like it. It's disgusting. Can't put milk or cream in it anyway. I can't have either one of those things, so what's the fucking point? DEH Sires, there's no Boston shows for AEW within the next 3 months, and next week's show only has 1,900 tickets sold for Dynamite. Well, that's not good. Where are they next week? They've been running smaller buildings, so I don't know if that's 1,900 in a 10,000 seat building, or are we talking 1,900 in a 4,000 seat building? Yeah, 1,900 is not good for a Dynamite. BW says, thoughts on Triple H's big announcement tomorrow night. Yeah, he's making a big announcement on their 2024 preview special on Peacock. My guess, if I had to venture a guess, is that it has to do with announcing the location for a major show. Maybe a WrestleMania, maybe WrestleMania 41. Could be SummerSlam. Have they announced a SummerSlam location? I don't know if they've announced SummerSlam yet. But that would be my guess. Maybe another international show, since they're doing more international PLEs. That would be my guess. It has something to do with that. There's been so many rumors going around all day about what, you know. I've seen some crazy shit today. The TNA stuff, it's like, again, people they're building it up. They're going to be very disappointed when it ends up not being what they think it is going to be. Uffman says, also, there were no Woo energy drinks available at the Prudential Center. Is that because they were all sold out or because they weren't selling them? I can't imagine they were all sold out. Samuel Hayworth, you go to jail for a crime you didn't commit. Your cellmate is Nails. Do you try to bum him like Vince did? Do I try to bum him? What does that mean? He attacked Vince. Vince didn't attack him. No, you know what? I get on his good side by telling him we could talk about how much Vince McMahon... We could tell Vince McMahon stories about how much Vince McMahon sucks. I'll do that just to keep him on my good side, and we'll get along just fine. He and I will get along just peachy. Arabian Night, Undisputed Era 2.0. Triple H wishes he still had all of them. Triple H wishes he had Adam Cole. Adam Cole was like the perfect... I guess they're not technically employees, but we'll use the word employee. He was just the model citizen in WWE. He was, I mean, everything that Triple H would love to have in one of his top guys, with the exception of the size issue, because Adam Cole is a small guy. I mean, if Adam Cole was 6'1" or 6'2" with some muscle mass on his body, I mean, he'd already be WWE champion by now. That was the only thing he was missing at a time when Vince McMahon still had power. But he was beloved when he was in NXT. They loved him. Shawn Michaels loved him. Triple H loved him. Triple H did not want to lose Adam Cole. He did not want to lose any of those guys. He would love to have them back. Rizzo, I'll ask you, plus the chat, should WWE do with WrestleMania what New Japan does with Wrestle Kingdom and always have it on the same day? No, I don't think that's necessary at all. Yeah, it just became a January 4th tradition for New Japan. Actually, I think January 4th next year, I believe, is on a Saturday, which will be interesting to see how that affects attendance. I think Tanahashi mentioned something about that. He thinks that the attendance for next year's show should be even better because it's on I believe it's on a Saturday. But no, WrestleMania doesn't have to be on the same day. Who cares? Who cares what day it is? Rumpelmane, what happened to Wiza? I don't know. I remember Wiza. I don't know. Rizzo, I've been Team WWF/E since I watched wrestling back in the early 90s. But if Jacob Fatu shows up to WrestleMania 40 and costs Cody and this story continues for another year, I'm done. I'll take Jacob Fatu in the bloodline, but yeah, I can't take another year of this. D. Gibbs, Tony Khan still won't put Athena on television. I don't get it. I don't get it. Every other person in Ring of Honor, we see them on AEW television. The one person who you would think, okay, well, hey, if they're going to put Ring of Honor talents on AEW TV, at least we'll get Athena, and we don't get her on TV. Is it in her contract that she's not allowed to perform on TNT or TBS? Because she was in the Owen Hart, right? She was in the Owen Hart tournament. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And Uffman says they were not selling the Woo energy drinks. Well, they definitely mentioned it at the beginning of the show. They mentioned that the show, I think, was sponsored by Woo Energy. The opening match was brought to you by Woo Energy. So they're not done hawking the fucking drink. But I guess they weren't selling them in New Jersey. Maybe that's a bad sign. Thank you, Uffman. Uffman was at the show tonight and had a good time. The goal tonight was 400 for Be the Booker, and we are currently at 443. So you guys have pushed us over the finish line. Hey, the Juliet says next week is Daly's Place for Dynamite. Yes, I mentioned that earlier. They are going to be back at their pandemic home next week. Oh, so that's where it is next. Okay, yeah, okay. Right, the 1900. Okay. Well, 1900 in Daly's Place, though. That's for Daly's Place, that's probably pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, I didn't put two and two together there for a second. The 1900 attendance for next week that we were talking about, it's Daly's Place. For Daly's Place, I think that's fine. Daly's Place is not that big. Well, I mean, what is the capacity? Can't be that much more. The Real CS, Triple H did not want Vince McMahon getting his hands on Adam. That's why he stayed in NXT until his departure. And I don't blame Adam Cole for leaving. Because how could Adam Cole have foreseen what was going to happen with Vince McMahon? I don't blame him for leaving. He was smart enough to recognize that if I stick around this place and things don't change, I'm never going to get anywhere. And he probably would have ended up as somebody's manager, whether it's Keith Lee or somebody else. And he would have been a damn fine manager. But Adam Cole is more than just the fucking manager. I don't blame him for leaving. D. Gibbs, Triple H, we are celebrating 40 years of Hulkamania. Oh, you know what? That's right. I think you'd have a lot of very disappointed people if that was the announcement. They are going to be celebrating 40 years of Hulkamania because on January 23rd, it will be the 40-year anniversary that Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik. But if that is the special announcement, then that would be pretty fucking lame. I don't have an issue with them celebrating 40 years of Hulkamania. I think that's fine. It's one of the biggest moments in the history of the company. But if that's the big announcement, then yeah, that's fucking lame. Boney, if AEW got a streaming deal with Max, could you see some international shows like Japan or Mexico, like WWE is doing Australia and Saudi? Yeah. I mean, look at how they did in the UK. I think in certain markets internationally, I mean, Japan, it's hard to say. I don't know what their popularity is like in Japan. But yeah, I think that we would see more international shows. I think we're going to see more international shows from them regardless. The only reason we didn't get a UK show sooner was because of COVID. You know? He said he wants to run Craven Cottage in the UK also. Wapatapa, Deonna, my thick goddess. Wapatapa is a big Deonna Purrazzo fan. ABK says capacity for Daly's Place is 5. Is it 5,000? Is it that much? I didn't think it was that big. All right, well then 1,900 is not great. I thought it was smaller than that for some reason. Yeah, 1,900 is not good. All right, so let's go ahead and be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
You guys wanted it. You got me to the goal. Keep hitting that thumbs up. We've been getting a lot of new subscribers, a lot of new eyeballs on the channel over the past 4 or 5 days. You got some videos here on the channel that have 20, 30, 50,000 views. So let's get those likes up and get some more people to discover the sound off. And let's kick things off here with Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid, the British Bulldogs, kicking us off here in Be the Booker. Former tag team champions. British Bulldogs going to be setting foot in the ring against the Beverly Brothers. I am a fan of the Beverly Brothers. I like the Beverly Brothers. I like their theme music. Their finishing maneuver is deadly. I'm a Beverly Brothers mark. Sue me. I'm giving that the bell. That's right. Von Wagner. That's right. That's right, Bliss fan. Von Wagner's dad. I'll take Von Wagner's dad over Von Wagner. All right, women's Be the Booker. You know, Deonna Purrazzo is in here. Deonna Purrazzo is in here. Mariah May, Toni Storm, Mercedes. After every single person I just named, we land on Eva Marie. Eva Marie is how we are kicking off women's Be the Booker. I don't believe this. Eva Marie and Kairi Sane. You know, I hate to do this because I love Kairi, but I hate to do it, but that's a no-go. That is a no-go. Can't do it. All right, here's the tiebreaker. This is what it comes down to. We got ourselves a tiebreaker. We got ourselves... Oh, look who it is. It's Chris Jericho. Conspicuous by his absence on Dynamite tonight. No Chris Jericho on the show. We have Chris Jericho. And who will Chris Jericho be stepping into the ring with? I know who the heel is going to be in this match. Chris Jericho going to go one-on-one with Nick Aldis. What's causing all this? Nick Aldis and Chris Jericho, I think, could have a very good match. I think so. So that pushes us over into the win category here for Be the Booker tonight. There you go. Please let it be Cornette. Cornette is in there. But not tonight. No Cornette tonight. So there you go. Chris Jericho and Nick Aldis. Eva Marie and Kairi. And the Beverly Brothers against the British Bulldogs. Boy, it's too bad. I would like to redo that Women's Be the Booker. Hey, The Real CS, did you see the idea that I pitched for Cody on X? Probably, yes. But I've seen probably 10 different pitches for Cody on my timeline today, so you're going to have to be more specific than that. But yes, I'm certain I saw it. I just did not have time to reply to it. Oh, man. Well, I'm going to be live with you on Friday night because we had a big Raw stream on Monday, and we got a big SmackDown coming up. It's the New Year's Revolution episode of SmackDown. I believe Roman Reigns is on the show on Friday night, and we have a triple threat match to crown a #1 contender who will lose to Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. That's how they should title the match. Who gets to lose to Roman Reigns? Will it be Randy Orton? Will it be AJ Styles? Or will it be LA Knight? We'll find out. I don't know if they have anything else. They might have something else announced. But I don't know. I'm trying to think what the other matches are for SmackDown. But, it's a Butch and a mystery partner against Pretty Deadly. And my guess is the mystery partner is going to be Sheamus. Oh, it's ABK again. He wasn't done yet. We're having a party here on the street. We're Barry Horowitz now.
Oh my god, a super chat bomb. That's a bigger bomb than the New York Mets.
Hey, ABK dropping another $205 here on the stream. Try again for the women in Be the Booker, please. Well, he wants a redo on the women's Be the Booker. ABK, you know what, man? Ask, and you shall receive.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
Went to the drum roll too early there. I'm going to do it just for you. Because of all your support tonight, ABK is getting a redo. There you go. Let's get rid of the men here. We are going to redo Women's Be the Booker. I don't ever do this, but I will do this for you. Here we go. You can thank ABK for this. Kick things off here with the man, Becky Lynch, who lost to Nia Jax on Monday night. Becky Lynch, who has to be one of the favorites to win the Women's Royal Rumble match. I think we're already heading in the right direction here. Becky Lynch, let's get a drum roll. An unprecedented night here in Be the Booker. Becky Lynch one-on-one with Lash Legend. Nope. Nope. She's not ready. She's not ready for prime time. Maybe one day, but today is not that day. ABK, we were close. We were close. We were so close I could taste it. We were so close. No dice. No dice. Nick Grasso, what did you think of the Velveteen Dreams video apology? I will talk more about that on the podcast on Sunday. I did watch it. I do have some thoughts on that. The one thing I will say is, look, for his sake, I hope he's being honest and truthful, and it's not just lip service. He's not going to work in wrestling again. I mean, he could forget about that. But as far as whatever else he chooses to do in his life, look, I hope he gets himself straight. And for now, that's all I have to say about that. Yeah, Lash Legend, that's right, Uffman. Lash Legend from NXT. She apparently is one of the best athletes they have there in the Performance Center. She body slammed Otis on an episode of NXT a few months ago, which was very impressive. But in a one-on-one match, she's not ready. She is not that good. But that's what they make performance centers for. So hopefully one day she'll be good. And she'll be able to have a fucking 10 or 15 minute pay-per-view match with somebody like Becky Lynch. That's not going to happen today. Would rather have Brie mode than Lash Legend. Well, anyway, SmackDown, big night coming up on Friday, as I was saying. As far as Wrestle Kingdom, I'm going to watch the show at some point tomorrow. I will either record something to get up on the channel tomorrow night. More likely, it might just be that I hold it for Sunday for the sound off. But I will do a review at some point. I just don't know exactly when. It's not going to be live, but at some point there will be a recap up of that. So, on that note, thank you guys, especially ABK, man. ABK blew it up. Actually got me to do an encore for Be the Booker. So come on back on Friday, and I will see you guys live again. And then, of course, on Sunday, we got a big show coming up, episode 842 of the podcast. So a lot of content over the past week, a lot of content coming up. Also, I should remind you guys, I should bring this up, that we have a very big show coming up on Saturday for House of Glory. If you are going to be in the New York City area, if not, you can go to watchonpremiere.com. and stream it on there. It's going to be our Brace for Impact show. We have former two-time Impact World Champion Josh Alexander challenging Mike Santana in the main event for the HOG World title. And ABC, the reigning TNA Tag Team Champions, Ace Austin and Chris Bay, are coming in to challenge main event for the House of Glory Tag Team title. So we have Black Taurus coming in. We have Gringo Loco coming back. We just announced that Mustafa Ali is making his debut on our March 2nd show at the NYC Arena. So we got some big things going on. I'm just happy that the show is on a Saturday this weekend, so I can be with you for SmackDown on Friday. We don't have to miss the stream. All right, I'll see you guys later. Until then, be well, stay safe, have yourselves a great night. Thank you for all the support. And ABK, you're the man.